Hello again, Ian Stokey with Mastermind Games back again, and this time painting the Primaris Lieutenants from the Dark Imperium box set, starting with 09088 Stormy Gray. Things get weird in this. It has been a very rough week, and usually I get more painting done, but haven't hardly touched much of anything. But on another note, the molds for Mastermind Games Battlegrounds Forests 1 set are back on track after multiple setbacks and problems. Now, I will be picking out other details on these weapons later in silver, but for now we're just going to do the whole thing in the gray. And in-game, the lieutenants are buffing characters. But overall, the Primaris models do not have nearly as many options to play with as the normal Space Marine models do. So just going for the weapons, the body glove. There doesn't seem to be an official kit for these guys yet. So my guess is you're either going to have to go Dark Imperium only, or just kind of make your own from spare parts, which is what I've had to do for Orc War bosses thus far. Kind of odd. It's probably the best way I can put it. But the other one has a power sword and a bolt pistol, while this one has a bolt pistol and an auto bolt rifle. And then I can find it. 09092 Golden Skin. Okay, so something of note is Palladium Books announced that they've lost their licensing rights to Robotech. So Robotech RPG Tactics is basically being canned at the end of the month. That's very disappointing for me, as I like the models in that game. What it means for this channel is I will not be painting any of the Robotech RPG Tactics models I have on camera anymore. There's really no point in doing a painting video for a game that's just about to be discontinued. It's disappointing, but there's really not much of anything you can do about it. Okay. And I like to mix up the skin tones on my models there, so that's that. Okay. I need to let that gray dry completely before moving on to the next color. Okay, next 09257 Blonde Hair. Since I last touched paint, the last few days were long and rage-inducing. It's a little tricky to tell where his crew cut / mohawk thing begins and his hairline ends here. I think something like that. It's a little tricky to tell because of the sculpt right here. That's okay. It's a little wet on these sides, so just test that out to get a nice even coat. Okay. And now 09188 Ultramarine Blue. If I can get that paper clip out because the nozzle's clogged again. Okay, that one's cached, but I have a whole box of them. It's just handy to keep consumable supplies like this within arm's reach. And this one's about shot. Should have enough for this one. Okay. I'll start with this guy on the armor to give that paint on the first guy a chance to dry. So as I'm painting this, they've been previewing the new Tau Codex. Yay for me. Looks like there's changes to it, significant ones, from the index. And I'm going to kind of ignore this emblem on his right leg here because that's going to be done in gold later on. This is elaborate greave. And being careful not to nick the gray. Not quite enough water in the brush. And I just realized I forgot to get these straps on the back, like I did on the... oh boy. Alright, I'll just have to touch that up off camera, that's okay. He's got himself a little reliquary there hanging off his belt. That'll be done later. And that nice emblem on the chest with the skull and wings. But again, a lot of Space Marine models, you don't get to see those details since they have them covered up most of the time with a weapon. And since these are lieutenants and I'm following, at least in spirit, the painting guide in the book, I'm leaving part of the helmet blank for now, using that fin on the top as kind of a guide. And I'm going pretty fast here because I've got literally over 20 years experience doing this. But you might want to slow down if you're just doing this the first time. Especially if you're doing this the first time. And that whole underside and trim are going to be in gold. Just skip over that for now. Getting tongue-tied already, that is. Boy. It's been a weird week. I'll pick out that skull on his vambrace later. At least I think that's technically the vambrace. I got a book on medieval armor smithing, which takes, has some of the terminology in. Got quite a lot of reference books on various things. Handy references. Or using synonyms in the same sentence. Oh boy. And he's got a matching skull on this guard here. Okay, a little touch up on the leg there. That's got all the blue on him. His hair should be dry enough. I won't have to worry about accidental nicks. and trying to avoid nicking the gray. And he's got his helmet on his belt. And there's another YouTube channel out there by, I believe the pronunciation is Bruva Absfusa. I'm probably slaughtering that. But he does a series called If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device. In fact, that was one of the things that just made me decide to get back into Warhammer 40,000. That talks about the lore and makes fun of it. And if you don't mind a tremendous amount of profanity, it's good entertainment. And there is an episode somewhere where he talks about Space Marines who refuse to wear their helmets for some reason. Bit too much water there, it kind of made it splotchy. Fix that real quick. Looks like he's got some kind of command and control computer on his gauntlet there. May pick that out in some lighting effects later. Okay, let's see, let's go all blue on him for now. Now I'm going to take 09160 Woodstain Brown and do the holsters for their bolt pistols and the carry strap on his auto bolt rifle. I'll just go ahead and take a Stormy Gray 09088. Just really quick, hit a few touch-ups and other things I missed. Like these straps. I know I just said I'd do these off camera, but the paint's dry enough to work with. I may as well go ahead and just do it now. Okay, we're in good shape. Gonna let that dry, then move on to some other details. Okay, next up is 09143 Yellowed Bone. And we're going to get the skull on that reliquary here. And where's this purity seal? There it is. Get the parchment on that. Okay, I don't see any other on him. And then we'll get the bones in his reliquary. And the parchment on his purity seal. Okay, and those skulls are going to be gold. So, go ahead and start on the helm. So, Fire Red 09004. This one's about cached. There we go, that should be more than enough to do the job. I think I've got enough paint on. I think I got spares of that color, but if I don't, I get paid tomorrow, so I can buy paint anyway. I'm gonna just kind of paint this ridge here, kind of following colors from the codex, and that's, I might need to do a second coat. Kind of using that as a guide, going all the way up to the front of the helm. And I'll pick out that little skull detail later. And then, yeah, I'll definitely do a second coat. Doing the same thing for his helm. Being real careful not to nick the elbow there. Looks like he doesn't have that skull detail. Alright. Let's see. 09206 Tarnished Steel. Get the blade on his power sword. Let's see any other details on him I want to get in this color. Yeah, actually I'm gonna start picking out a few details on the firearm. Let's do this part here. Back end here and the grip. Let's see, yeah, that's pretty good. And then over here I'm going to get the padlock on the reliquary. And mirror what I did on the first lieutenant's bolt pistol. Though his is a fair bit different. The magazine doesn't stick out, and this part under the barrel is a fair bit shorter. Okay, now for his rifle, I'm going to do this cylinder here. And something on Warhammer 40,000 is it's heavily implied, but I haven't seen anything that directly states it, that most equipment is actually handmade, literally handcrafted by Imperial citizens, quote, citizens, working day and night in the manufactorums, simply following ancient patterns to the best of their ability, which accounts for all the little variations. And then I'm going to go ahead and get, I think, this grip here as well in the silver. Then we're going to go back to that red and do the second coat because I want that bright kind of cherry tomato red over the helmets there, just like I did with the sergeant helmets in previous videos. There's nothing physical on the model to actually guide me on where to stop and start, so just got to use my own judgment. And then, where is it? Old Bronze 09197. Just need a tiny bit of that. And starting here, I'm going to get the bolter cartridges visible in his magazine. Just a little dab there. And then do the same thing for his assault bolter. Oh. Where is it? 09002 deep red. That is not mixed well. I just need a tiny dot of that, but again, you see the distinction between the paint and the mixing medium there. That's no good. That's no good. Okay, that's better. And you see on this second dot, there's not that clear liquid there. Okay. Just dab that on the wax portion of the seal. And then, that's the wrong one. All right, 09050 antique gold. Just got to keep an eye on the clock here because I'm doing laundry too. Fortunately, this is drying pretty quickly today. Drying times can be affected by temperature and humidity, so hotter and drier, the faster it goes. I'm just going to be careful not to nick that skull on his reliquary there. And he's got the Aguila on his gun. Just gonna make sure I'm not missing anything before I move on. Yeah, he looks okay. And that was Brother Lieutenant. carefully pick out the skull in the center of his helmet. And on his bracers. And this might be a month where I finally get my camera upgraded. I don't know, I'm supposed to be getting actually multiple bonuses from my employer, but they've lied before. So we'll see. I also have other things on my itinerary that are a bit higher priority, but we'll just see what happens. But I'm just going to say, finally upgrading my camera is a possibility, not necessarily a certain thing. So, just going to throw that out there. But I would really prefer to do these in first person. Like I said before, it just didn't work out with this camera despite efforts. Okay. And I am going to give this power sword some glowing effects, including the jewel in the hilt, but that's going to be done after all the other shading. Okay, and that's got his base coats. So let that dry, move on to shading. Alright, 09256 Blonde Shadow. And make sure to mix about half paint, half water, since this is a shade. And 09049 Ancient Bronze. Again, these make the loveliest sounds when they get low. I'm gonna start on the other one with this, so his hair has a chance to dry up. Boy, I cannot speak today. that. And then red brick 09001. That's going to be plenty. So that's just going on the wax of the purity seals. Just dot on like that. There. Oh, and I might as well get the brass one at it. So that's going to be 09196 Aged Pewter. And that's plugged up really good. Okay. And that's going to have to dry a bit. Alright. Let's see, where am I at? Moving on with the shading. 09205 Blackened Steel. It's way more than I'm going to need. Carefully get that. That is why I have the paper towel handy. Carefully get this over the silver pieces of the bolt pistol there. Okay, and this blade of the power sword here. Oh, and if you hear screaming in this clip, it's because I got a horror movie by Hammer Studios playing in the other room. Some of the best B movies ever made. What I got going is a 1970s vampire flick with Peter Cushing, aka Grand Moff Tarkin from Star Wars, playing the role of Abraham Van Helsing. What can I say? My favorite show is Mystery Science Theater 3000. Okay. Got the silver. And then Stained Ivory 09142. Got some parchment and bones and reliquaries to shade. Yeah, I just like to have the TV on for background noise or music, so I just get what I like on DVD and call it good at that. Okay, yeah, that's okay. It's okay. And then I think I can go ahead and let's see, where is it? Golden Shadow 09091. That is not mixed right. That's okay. Okay. It's a little wet right there. Just dab that out. That's better. And then 09003 Blood Red. We'll get the stripe on the helmet. Whoa. Make sure to get that little slit at the top. Be careful around the skull in the center of his helmet. It's not so bad. Okay. That just leaves the blue and the gray and the brown. So, gonna let that dry and come back to it in just a bit. Okay. Ultramarine Shadow 09187. That may or may not be enough. We'll see. Alright. Being real careful with this thing above his neck. I don't want to hit the hair or the skin. Okay. Get a little more loose now in the neck, but not too much. I don't want to have to redo any of my hard work already. Okay. Being careful around the gold on the breastplate. And being careful about that reliquary on his belt. Be careful on the helmet. I want to get the blue, not the red. And there's no physical sculpture work here to act as a barrier either. And for those of you looking in your Space Marine Codex, wondering, but what about the white stripes on the helmets? That I'm going to do as a detail after I've highlighted. Being careful on the leg, I don't want this to seep into the gray. At least not if I can help it anyway. Which I can, because I'm going to take it slow. Being careful on the shoulder not to nick the gold. At least not the gold on the trim anyway. There was a little bit of spillover when I shaded that. That just happens. It's okay. Get that finger on the trigger right there. I'll be picking out some of the details on his gauntlet. Make it look more like a portable comms unit. Make sure I get an even coat there. A little bit right below the... There we go. And repeating for the other sergeant. Or lieutenant. Sorry. Getting my ranks mixed up. Being careful around the collar so I don't hit the red on the helmet. Do a little more straight paint right there where that gold hit. Being careful around the insignia. Again, you want to keep your brush nice and wet. Again, I use Reaper Master Series paints. Now, I used to use Citadel paints, but the reason I switched was and I think I've said this before in other videos, but several years ago, Games Workshop decided to reformulate everything, and unfortunately they left about a 6-month gap between the time that the old stuff was discontinued and their new formula was released. So everybody who was using Citadel paints at the time either bought up everything they could, or like me, switched brands. If I were the one making that business decision, I would have made sure the new stuff was ready to go right away instead of leaving a gap that long, as it would have just cost the company sales as product was unavailable. And I don't have anything against Citadel paints, just that they were unavailable for so long. I was not going to sit around waiting to paint up the models I had, just because the supplier was not actually supplying at the time. I've heard Vallejo does good paints as well, though I haven't tried those. I've heard the same about Privateer Press's P3 formula paints too, but again, it doesn't matter a whole lot what brand you use as long as you're using something specifically for this hobby. That means the right consistency, so you'll need model paints, not Liquitex or Apple Barrel, which are more craft or canvas-based paints, though I do use Liquitex on terrain pieces because of how big they are. So gonna let that dry, then hit the last color in a little bit. Okay, last shader, 09037 pure black. Again, these things make the loveliest noises when they run low. I need to get this more thin than usual because of how dark this is, and I need to adjust the angle on this because for some reason this paint is trying to flow right off the palette. Huh. Let's have a divot in this table. Oh well, so very carefully to get those hoses on the helmet. And the gray on this bolt pistol without nicking the silver or the bolter rounds in the magazine. Right. Let's see, and then body glove here, and in the armpit, that strap. Okay, let's we'll paint that strap there, 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 in the elbow, midsection right there. And then we're going to get the holster with this as well. That's a little too thick, but I can roll with it. And if you hear over-the-top violin music, I started another Hammer horror movie. I got a collection of them on sale, and I've wanted to see some of those for a good long while. This was my best chance. Thing about collecting B movies is it can be pretty cheap. Alright. Okay. Be much more careful around here because I want to get that lip below the helmet, not the skin or the armor. Okay. And being, again, careful to get the gray on the weapons, not the silver. Okay. Strap there. Then again, being very careful not to hit the brass or the silver. Filling in the straps, the body glove, those little hoses on the helmet. That seeped out onto the blue a bit. Let's just blot that out real quick. Don't want to muddy that too much. A little's okay, but yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to leave his holster. Okay. And now 09039 pure white. Gonna get ready for some of the lighting effects and get his eyes. Make sure that brush is nice and clean. I don't want to dilute this white. It's going to be the foundation for so much to come. Just carefully dot in his eyes there. I know there's a specific word for the whites of the eyes. Got it written down somewhere. I just keep forgetting it for some reason. Okay, and then the helmet. Carefully. And then he has that little console, so I'm gonna do these buttons here. I'll do this as a screen. Carefully pick that one panel out. Now for the other lieutenant. Carefully pick the eyes on his helmet out. And gonna get the jewel on his sword. Get both sides there. Here's where I get fancy. So I'm going to paint over the antenna, which will be what conduct the energy field into the blade. And in Warhammer 40,000, all power weapons, at least used by the Space Marines, channel a deadly energy field into them. And I'm not done yet. So on the Captain Gravis armor, I let it get really wide and messy since he had a master crafted power sword and wanted to give the impression that the blade was just barely containing the power, and here it's going to be more subdued. If I can get my brush to cooperate, it's getting a little funky on me. Just a thin line. Going up and in, extending from those nodes. Just kind of like that. Work and extend, kind of blend these two together. Kind of like this. Okay. Once that's dry, or actually I think I can go ahead and get started as that dries quick enough. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and take that pure black again. This should be... No, that's not going to work. It's okay. It's not going to work, that's okay. Take a little dot. I'll do the barrels at the end, but I'm going to get his pupils right now. Carefully dot those in. And, okay, there it is. 09101 Ruby Red. A tiny dot of that. Thin it out fairly thoroughly. Get that in the eyes of the helmets. I'm going to put that on the buttons on his gauntlet. And again in his eyes. And on the jewel on his sword. It's pretty good. Then emerald green 09103. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to take sparkling blue 09104, little dot. Going to get kind of fancy here. First, paint just a thin line with on the arm guard like that, on what's going to be a screen once it's dry. I'll go ahead and thin that out into a wash. And I'll paint that along the blade. It'll really come into its own when it hits the wire and the white parts that were picked out. Here, that's too thick. I don't want it running off onto the gold there. Got it pretty good. Alright. I do a test there. Looks okay. Now I'm going to take emerald green 09103. Tiny little dot. That went a little wild. Now I'm going to fill in the screen there. A little more paint. This is kind of a odd color when you're turning it into a shader, diluting it. So that'll give the impression that there's a bit of static on his screen there. Okay. It's got the last of the lighting effects. Need to let this dry completely, and then I can start highlighting and finishing up the details. Okay, highlighting now. Where's my paint? 09089 Cloudy Gray. And again on highlights, I'm more concerned about readily visible surfaces than every possible surface. Though in retrospect, I probably should have started with the brass. Oh well. It's still easy to fix. And where is it? 09198 Tarnished Brass. Golden Highlight 09093. Yeah. 09207 True Silver. Oh yeah, he's got that little padlock on that reliquary on his belt. Ultramarine Highlight 09189. Be careful around that insignia on the leg. Again, I'm more concerned with readily visible surfaces. With all dry brushing, just After you get your brush in the paint, just rub it on the towel there until it looks like it's about dry. I'll give you just enough paint to do this right. If you brush against hard edges, that'll help catch the raised edge while leaving the underside intact. Just lightly dusting. A little more work on the chest there. Being careful around the emblem. Okay. Then 09005 Phoenix Red. There's another one that's more or less shot, but there we go. That's plenty to do the job. Okay, that's nice and dry. Brightening up that stripe. Let's see. Creamy Ivory 09144. And then 09161 Shield Brown. Let's see, where is it? Blond Highlight 09258. Zero 9003 Blood Red again. Doesn't look dry enough. Let's try that again. It's better. And 09051 New Gold. Okay, I think I need to touch that light up right there real quick. We'll just take that Ultramarine highlight and go carefully along like this here. Okay, that's got that emblem out a little more. That's better. Being real careful around that jewel. I don't want to nick that. Okay. Well, it's highlights now for details. I'm going to take pure white 09039 again. Lieutenant's iconography is going to be a 2-part process. Actually, a 3-part process. I'm going to start by this is the start of a skull. Kind of a circle and then a kind of a triangle. Getting the Ultramarines sigil there. Then moisten the brush a bit. Want it damp, not overly wet. Very, very carefully painting 2 white stripes along the side. The head going to the back. That. Wanting them to end just above eyes, like that. When you're freehanding it like I am, sometimes it's going to turn out better than other times. Carefully painting those lieutenant stripes. Even them out there. Okay. Now using that same ultramarine highlight, carefully pick out eyes. Teeth, it's a fairly tricky thing to do. It's not my best work. But taking that same Phoenix Red. Paint around the perimeter of the skull. Oh, too much water. Blot that out. Paint around the perimeter. And give it that iron halo. This is not my... but this is the first time I've tried this particular iconography, so... Again, freehanding. Stuff like this is going to happen where it's not going to be your best, not going to be your worst, but it's just something to be aware of. Just kind of roll with it. I think I can clean this up a little actually with the more of the blue. Just thin that out a little bit. Gotta thin that out a little bit. This is not that satisfied with it, but it's the first time I've done this, so can't be too hard on myself. But when you don't have water slide decals, or if you have trouble with them like I had last time, you just gotta compromise sometimes. It's okay. And then pure black again, 09037. Gonna finish up here. Start with this. Oh, that one's seen better days. Let's try my sacrificial brush for the basing. Just gonna a little jagged lines for script on the purity seals. Dots and dashes, it just kind of like Morse code. Fill in some gun barrels here. And then line the edge of the base. Get a more uniform look. I'll be basing in a minute. So I'll improve on the more complex iconography as I go along. Maybe I'm rushing myself too much on this, but I would like to get these done so I can get started on the next thing. I'm really trying to clear out as much of my painting queue as I can before May, when I'm supposed to get my Kickstarter rewards for Relic Knight 2nd Edition. So, gonna let that dry, move on in a bit. Okay, time to start basing. Let's get the material out. So, white glue, a generous portion of it again. And this is just the lid of a Gatorade bottle. Again, that's using salvage materials when you can't, excuse me, no there on, when you can to save money. So the iconography on the right shoulders I was grossly dissatisfied with, so I just went scorched earth, covered it up, and tried again. Vast improvement. Still need more practice on that, but that's how it goes. It takes just practice and repetition to get anywhere, and that's only the first time I've done this particular iconography, and only the second I've even tried anything similar, so not too bad for something I've not really done before. So, generous amount around the feet. And if you hear anything funky, I got another one of those horror movies by Hammer Studios playing in the other room between takes. Just like to have the background noise as I work. Usually listen to music, but don't want to get copyright struck because somebody doesn't like me playing one of their songs on a video that has nothing to do with it. The YouTube copyright thing, well, needs some work. I'll tell you, the way they're running some things, if they don't shape up, there's going to be a viable competitor coming up that's going to outdo them at their own game. Okay. So, oops. Just cold cocked my camera. Move that a little bit. Taking a dry brush, I'm just going to push the material away from the feet where I don't want it. These guys are stomping through the rubble of some unknown battlefield, so... Generous amounts of glue. Nice solid coating to give the talus something to stick to. It's not too bad, okay. Let that sit for a bit, and then seal it. Okay, time to finish up and seal it while my B-movie barrage continues in the other room. What can I say? My favorite show is Mystery Science Theater 3000. Okay. Just to give you an idea how long a bottle of this stuff lasts, I can't remember. I literally cannot remember when I bought that, or how long it was between the time I bought its predecessor and that one. I know it's at least been a couple of years. Yes, I said years. Okay, I'm just going to drip this around the base. This will pretty much soak this up. Just dab that little bit that got on the edge there. For the other lieutenant. Thing. It's important to give the flock sand, talus, basing material, whatever you use, time to dry before doing this. Otherwise, this will just push it around all the more. And that's got him. Get the excess back in the bottle. Clean out the eyedropper. Again, a glass one is better as the material, the cement doesn't stick to it as much. And that is it. The Primaris Lieutenants from the Dark Imperium box set. Got 2 more videos for the Dark Imperium. Oh, no. Sorry. 3 more. The Plague Marines are next. followed by the Primaris Hellblasters, and then ending with the Poxwalkers before moving on to some orcs and a tiny bit of Tau. Until next time, I am Ian Stokey with Mastermind Games, signing off.